Hi guys, it's Yasha.
And it's Caleb.
And welcome to just a mini vlog. We decided to chat. It is Sunday evening, but this is not your typical Sunday reflection to get. But tonight is date night. It's date night, and we are at home.
Because date night does not always mean expensive.
Oh yeah, date night doesn't always mean expensive, and yes, we want to perhaps inspire you guys, and of course we're going to be chatting because every conversation, every time we come on here, we want it to be beneficial for you guys. We want to start by saying that even when you are married, it's important for you guys to continue to date each other and love on each other. And everything is very, very important. But in order for this to also be beneficial for you guys, we thought we'd also just reflect on our marriage. We've been married for 7 months. Oh, we're going into 8 months now, 7 months and some. So we're going to be reflecting on our 7 months of marriage and chatting with you guys and hoping that you guys will be able to get a thing or two. But of course, because we're in the kitchen, we are cooking. So tonight I'm making my husband's favorite meal. You want to tell the people what it is?
You? Okay. Just making jollof rice.
Oh yeah.
And I love it a lot.
So we're doing jollof rice, chicken, a coleslaw. Unfortunately, we've run out of eggs, but one thing that, Ghanaians...
boiled egg on the side.
Exactly. One thing I learned about being around Ghanaians and Nigerians is that you have jollof with a boiled egg.
Manza, Ghanaians, not Ghanaians.
Ghanaians?
People say Ghanaians.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, so that's what we're doing tonight. So it'll be, our menu is jollof, coleslaw, and chicken. All right, whilst we chat. So let me just...
Okay. While we chat, what you say?
Yeah, and actually, if you guys are very keen, I personally love cooking. If you guys are keen on, me showing you a little bit more about what happens in this kitchen, let me know. And if you're interested, perhaps we'll do a step-by-step.
One day.
Yeah, so let us know what you guys think.
Her channel. Wink, wink.
Oh yeah, on my channel. So let me know if that's something you're interested in, because if you guys are not interested in fun recipes, then we're not going to do that. But if you are, let us know in the comment section. So let me just pop in my rice and then we'll get chatting, yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay. So my love, for the sake of those who are about to get married or intends to get married, what was your expectation of marriage?
I think I had a clean slate in my mind because I always had conflicting perspectives of what marriage is and what it looks like.
Yeah.
Many would be like, oh, marriage is hard, marriage is enjoyable. Not that I discarded what people said, however, I just came into it saying, you know what, let's see what our experience is going to be like.
Okay.
In light of all the wisdom we've received, the things we have been taught, the things that, we've come to know about what marriage is, what it looks like. I think I decided to come into the clean state without so much expectation.
Okay.
Because you wouldn't want to be disappointed or some stuff like that.
Okay.
So I think, that's how I came into it.
Okay, maybe I can just before, I know maybe you're not done with the answer, but I wanted to actually say something. I think that was a good mindset to have, in the sense that it allows you to actually have your own experience, right? It's applicable to anything else in life. How, for instance, even if you're in school, let's say if you're still in university and you're about to take a course, right? For instance, and then you ask people how the course was, and people are like, oh my gosh, people failed the course and stuff. But allow yourself to have your own experience. So I think it's the same with anything in life. The reason we ask for wisdom is so that we are better equipped for whatever you're about to walk into and gain wisdom from someone else. But then at the same time, you don't allow that to be your experience. So I think it is actually a healthy mindset to have. For somebody who might be out there and is contemplating this whole thing of marriage, yes, get wisdom from other people, but don't let that be your experience. Some wise woman said this to me, and she was get advice from other women in terms of how to do marriage, but at the end of the day, your husband is your husband, right? And he will have his own demands. Therefore, you can't ultimately say, oh, because this person said, then that becomes your entire template. However, you take nuggets of wisdom from the experience. So I love that. That was your mindset. Yeah. So like, so you came in clean slate, but what did you have? I don't know, any thoughts in terms of what it was going to be like still, like regardless?
Not really.
Okay.
I guess I was just ready for the new experience in life.
Yeah.
Low-key prepared for surprises, because one thing that I know about any new experience is that it's full of surprises. So for me, when I said I was prepared for marriage, I was ready for marriage. It's not that I knew everything, but I was ready for the challenges.
Oh yeah.
That would come, because you can't always plan for everything. Yes, it's okay. It's you should plan, but you can't plan for everything.
Yeah.
In the sense that because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So you can always, have a plan for this, for that, but what if another thing happens and there's no plan? So you can panic and freeze, So I came into it with like, okay, I understand, I've been taught everything that I've been taught. I've seen many things in my parents and other functional marriages.
Yeah.
I've seen many things in all dysfunctional marriages too.
Yeah.
And equipped with that information and wisdom, I already knew that marriage was going to have its fair share of challenges. However, I think just knowing, first of all, that God is in it, and I'm also in it with a good person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of gave me peace to still go forward, even though there were many uncertainties and all that. But as long as those two things were in check, I think for me,
those were like the key.
Yeah, that's what gave me peace still.
Yeah. No, that's good.
I remember one of my pastors once said, one thing about me, why I'm always at peace, is because I'm very ignorant about many things. And I knew she mentioned it in a good way, in the sense that I choose to block out, things that would otherwise shift my perspective in a terrible way.
Okay.
And I also choose to just be hopeful that this thing is gonna work the way that I would like it to.
Yeah.
And of course, not forgetting the aspect of you actually having to put in the work and stuff. So so I was not ignorant of the fact that there was work that was supposed to be put in. But I choose to kind of anyway.
Focus.
To focus on the good.
I think that's so true, because even remember when we started marriage counseling, I think it was our very first session, and our counselor mentioned the fact that like marriage is that one institution which you enter with no experience, and you gain experience as you go. So or as a lot of people will say in church, like it's the one thing where you get a certificate before you actually start working it out. So I think that's super precise. Wow. Okay.
And on you?
I expected it to be work.
Okay.
I actually expected marriage to be work, but like not like work like, oh my gosh, like hey, you're doing the most all the time. But I knew that it required me to be very present and then attentive. But then also I expected marriage to be a lot of fun, and it's like doing life with your bestie. You know what I mean? And also an expectation I had of us was to also build and grow as individuals. Because remember, when you get married, hopefully if you get married correctly, you're getting married to somebody that you can actually build with, grow with, and establish your God-given vision and stuff with. So I definitely had an expectation to grow in all aspects of my life, because from the time when we were dating, I knew that there are certain things that I could learn from you, and I also trust and believe that there are things you can learn from me as well. So I expect it to be a process where we grow and build together. Right. So now we're just waiting for dinner to just wrap up, and so we're just gonna continue our chat. So as we have already shared what our expectations were, we can perhaps reflect on what marriage has actually been like for you.
So what's marriage been like for you?
It has been a lot of work, okay, on a personal note, and also in terms of just showing up for you, as my husband as well. A lot of the work, for me personally, the work started on a personal note, like internally. A lot of the work started there, but I guess just it wasn't anything out of the ordinary, because I came from being, like, I was a very independent person, like in my single life, very independent. So for me, it started with actually having to learn to actually depend on somebody and rely on somebody. So it started there. And then also in terms of relating with my husband, which is one thing that I think we all go through in marriage. You need to learn to relate with your person. So that will take also a lot of self-reflection. So I realized that on my part, there were certain shortcomings that I had. Again, I think maybe because of my independence, I was pretty much like, like my patience was not where it was supposed to be, you know what I mean? But there were certain situations that made me realize, you actually need to work on that. You need to be a little more patient. And it's not something that's just applicable, or that's been beneficial in our marriage per se, but it's also been beneficial for me in terms of the people I meet as well. I've definitely become a lot more patient, So yeah, it's been a lot of internal work, adjusting, readjusting, taking to God and being like, okay, actually, no, I thought this part of my life was okay, but no, it's not. I may have shared this in one of our sit downs. I'm not sure, I can't remember if I did, but I'll say it again in case I didn't. And it's the fact that a lady once said to me many years ago, that a relationship, not just marriage, but a relationship is like a magnifying glass, right? So it shows you the parts of who you really are. That's what it does. Marriage will show the parts of you that you think have healed, but actually have not actually healed. So what I will say, for the sake of you guys who are watching, is that if you're in a relationship, especially like if you're in a serious relationship, you have to be prepared to actually fix the parts of you that will be exposed, because there will be parts of you that will be exposed through your interactions with your spouse or with your partner, and you need to be willing to take those things to God. It's not a thing where, like, when certain things are exposed, yeah, it can be hard. I don't know if you can relate to this, but I think it can actually be hard sometimes, but you need to be willing to work on it, So yeah, a relationship, especially marriage, is like a magnifying glass. So it will magnify the good and the bad parts. So yeah, it's been a lot of that. I think I'll let you go now, carry on. Yeah.
I think on my end, I didn't realize that being a husband would be a lot of work.
Okay.
I think transitioning from, I'll put it like this, in as much as there's an interdependence in marriage, there's a certain dependence from a wife to a husband.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like coming into that role as husband, coming into that role as the head of the home, I think it was quite heavy. The transition was quite heavy,
Yeah.
Because I actually had a conversation with my dad some months into marriage. I was like, you know what? I actually now appreciate you even more now that I'm someone's husband.
Yeah.
And that pressure is on me, because I realized that we used to demand a lot from my dad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We really, really used to demand a lot from my dad. And being a household where it's just boys, it's like, ooh, we show a lot of love to mom, we baby mom and all that. And then we demand from dad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yes, we do love our dad, and we make sure he knows that, However, I think when you come into marriage and you actually come into the position that your father was at, of course I don't have kids yet, but I appreciated it.
Oh yes.
Because as I know, as children, you can mess up and you have a safety net. As a wife, you also do have a safety net, but
right.
as a man, you have to make sure things work.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that this is in place. You have to make sure that that is in place. You know what I'm saying? So coming into that role, I think that transition for me might have been the heaviest of things. And I do still think that I'm doing my best to fit into that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it can be a weight, but we thank God that He's always there also to, you know, to help us through all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, not to negate the fact that you can feel the pressure sometimes. So I think for me, if I were to like say my chiefest or topest, you know, reflections about marriage so far is just that adjustment into husbandhood.
Okay.
You know, it's been quite an interesting transition. And I think I'm more appreciative of the opportunities I have a little more now.
Okay.
I'm more appreciative of the parents that I've had.
Yes.
I'm more appreciative of, you know, just that aspect of life.
Yeah.
You know, the upbringings and all of that. Because I'll be honest with you, I think now that I'm in marriage, I understand why certain men run. I understand why certain men can literally impregnate a woman and run. Not that I'm condoning and saying that, hey, this is the right thing to do, but I'm just saying I do now understand why they would do that.
Yeah.
So then, of course, my advice in this particular context would be to really, really strengthen your relationship with God and build your character.
Yeah.
So that when pressures do come, you don't implode. You know, because I do think, I don't know, I can't say it gets easier, but I will say I feel like we do get stronger. And especially if we have a solid foundation of a sound relationship with God and a godly character. That foundation in itself will keep us standing.
Okay, yeah.
And it'll keep us growing in the direction that we should. You know what I'm saying? Because if there's a faulty foundation, it's very easy to run. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think let me stop there. Yeah.
I think that those are some strong points, especially that last one on the foundation.
Yeah.
I think we need to realize that when we come into marriage, we're trying to build a God-ordained thing.
Yeah.
So we cannot actually do marriage correctly without the leadership of the one who created marriage.
Yeah.
Because if you actually reflect on the points that we've both shared, you realize that there's a lot of sacrifice involved. There's a lot of self-sacrifice that's actually involved to make a marriage work. But based off of our natural human instincts and feelings and ways of doing things, the easiest thing to do is to run.
True.
The easiest thing to actually do is to run. It's when, you know, the pressure caves in, you want to run. Or you feel uncomfortable, you want to run. And sometimes you will hurt each other, you want to run. But when the foundation is Christ, you go back to everything He states. I think we need to realize that all of those attributes that God states to help us do marriage actually deal with a lot of these, you know, foundational issues.
They do.
Yeah. So how would you, perhaps based off of what you just shared, how then would you advise somebody out there who is not married yet in terms of ensuring that they have the stability that helps withstand that pressure, especially for a man? Because there's a lot of responsibility that comes with being a husband. If you were to speak to yourself maybe a year ago, what would you say to yourself? Yeah.
I think based off of the few things that I've already shared out, first of all, emphasize a lot on the relationship with God. I think we've spoken a lot on that. To emphasize also on just simply building character, like learning to be patient.
Yes.
You know, not holding on to character flaws where you're like, okay, this is how I am, I have a short temper. No. Those are things that you can deal with. Those are things that you can work on, you know. It's not manly to have a short fuse and things like that. So I'd say work on those things. Be very specific and targeted when you're working on your character issues. You know, because right now you think you're okay until you have someone in your face.
All the time.
You know what I'm saying? So you do need to work on your character. You must be very targeted. You must also have a community. And you must have a community, people that you can actually talk to and vent to. Sometimes it's not even like venting, but it's just like someone you can be like, hey, this is what I'm going through. They don't even need to give you money or anything like that, but just because they were there and they listened kind of removes a weight on your chest. You know, that's why you need a sound, godly community, so that they don't end up taking you to the bar and saying, hey, just drink your stress away. That'll only aggravate the issue, you know. So having a sound community, people that can also correct you, people that you can be accountable to, you know what I'm saying, people that can help you through certain things. I think that becomes very important, you know. And what else? Picking the right person. Anyway, I guess that one is already implied if we're talking about, but I think just those three, they'll get you moving forward well. You know, and of course, not to mention that having a good financial structure, you know, that'll help you very much. Because when you're alone, the other day what did I want to buy? I think it was a tab. Yes, the tab. I still want to buy it anyway, but I really wanted one. And I remember like 2 years ago, had this same desire just come up, I wouldn't have hesitated to just buy myself one the moment I had money. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, the money's there now, let me buy it. You know what I'm saying? That was then. Now I had to consider other things like, okay, what's actually needed? What do we need as a household, as opposed to what do I want? You know what I'm saying? Yes, I understand I could have bought it, sold it, made the money back, bought another one type of thing. But then you realize that when you become a head of the household, that pressure again, you see what's actually more beneficial to the house than to you as an individual. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I do know that there are like important things I needed for, like the writing, the teaching, the reading and all of that. But when you look at the bigger picture, when you look at the household, you know what I'm saying? You'll be like, okay, what's needed here? So I think just having a good financial structure will help you leaps and bounds. Just the ability to invest, just the ability to grow the monies that you have. You know, I think that is a very practical thing that a guy needs to learn. You know, I was sharing with you earlier on about how I was having a conversation with a young man, and I was telling him that, you know what, it's okay if right now what you're selling makes you perhaps 50 cents profit per item. However, you need to have a growth mindset at all times.
That's true.
You know, because 50 cents per item means you have to push volumes upon volumes in order for you to make something significant. Something to pay rent, something to sustain a household. So you need to understand that from that little that you have, it can be capital for something bigger. You know, you might sell 10, you get $5 profit from the 10 items. What else can you buy that can give you $1 profit per item? Then as you grow from there, you now have 15. What can you buy that can get you maybe $1.50 or $2 profit per item? So you're thinking bigger. You are growing from where you are. You know what I'm saying? So I think, those, if you can get those things in check as a gentleman, I think the rest will come as you go. And as a lady, what would you advise to you?
You have to be prayerful. I'll say that for starters. As a woman, you really, really have to be prayerful. The reason being that you are coming in as a helpmate. So first of all, you actually need to be able to recognize the areas that you have been called to help, because you cannot help if you don't know what you are helping, you know, and that requires a spiritual sensitivity, because yes, you are at your husband's aid in terms of day-to-day things and things that you can see physically, but a lot of the things that you are actually assisting with are not things that you can see with your physical eyes, but you need to learn to be very discerning. And then it's not everything that you may actually be able to present, you know, to your significant other at that specific time, because again, through your ability to be able to discern, you may realize that perhaps this is not the right time. Again, because like he's already shared, as a husband, there's a lot of responsibility there, whether we like it or not. And sometimes, and that's one thing that I really have had to learn, because I tend to be very empathetic, and sometimes like don't sideline the Holy Spirit at all, because there are times where, and he can testify, a lot of the times like I want to make sure he's fine, right? I read a lot into, you know, how somebody carries themselves and so forth. And sometimes I'm like, no, you're not okay, you know. But then I've also learned with him that sometimes he's actually not okay, but he also is, you know, trying to be a man and be strong. And perhaps sometimes, and this is one thing I noticed about my husband, even before we got married, where sometimes things are happening, but he won't actually like vocalize the thing at that specific moment, because you realize that maybe it's not the best for even me personally. But in those moments, you need to learn to step back. Again, this comes by and through the Holy Spirit's guidance, and actually take a lot of things to prayer. So you realize that as a woman, you're constantly on your knees. You're constantly on your knees for your husband's sake, because he's the covering, which means he almost becomes the roof in terms of how far you can go. So you have to be very discerning, very, very prayerful, and then learn to also be submissive. And I think that can be a very tough word for us in this generation, because, you know, we have a lot of this independence, you know, and I'm speaking because I'm also a very independent person. Like, marriage has taught me to really humble myself. And I know sometimes I feel like my husband doesn't feel like I'm as independent, because I'm like, you know, all over in his face. But no, that's just God teaching me to submit, because my level of independence was to the point of like, if Nyasha decides I'm off, I'll shut everything out real easily, you know. But learning to submit, submission is not a bad thing. Submission is a very beautiful thing. However, I will say to men that like, it's easier for a woman to submit when you are easy to submit to. I don't know if you can add flesh to that, but it becomes so much easier when you are submitted to God. When, as a man, you're submitted to God, you find that it's easier for a woman to submit to you as well. Because when, as a man, you're not under the covering of God, it shifts the whole, it's off, you know what I mean? So that's also my encouragement to men. And then as women, submission is a very beautiful thing. You realize that as you serve your husband, I find out as I serve him, I find joy in that. Like, I find so much joy in just simple things like ironing his clothes. You know, I enjoy that. I enjoy cooking for him. I enjoy just being there for him, even though like my husband is not a talker, right? I'm still trying to make him a talker, you know, but I enjoy just, you know, being there. So submission is a big thing. But the major foundation, I would say, as a woman is prayer, because there are a lot of things that will come your way that are not even really just influenced by you two, but you're fighting a whole lot of other forces. We've spoken about how marriage is a thing that the enemy does not like. So as a woman, you would tend to be the one who would discern a lot of things, sometimes even before your husband does. So you really have to be prayerful. Yeah.
Yeah, on the submission aspect, I think just to bring a balance, I guess, submission is more so a command, which is not necessarily, it's not a conditional command. All right, it's not a conditional command where you submit if he's like this, or you submit when he does this. No, it's actually not a conditional command. You submit to your husband. Yeah. All right. And I understand the sentiment. Yes, it's easier to do so when the conditions are right, which is why, as the man, it becomes your responsibility, you know, to make sure that she is able to obey God. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing, yes.
So yeah, it becomes your responsibility because you don't want her to struggle. And again, we've often read from Peter where he speaks about how, what does he say? To dwell with your wives with understanding. You know, because if there's any form of aggravation and stuff, they can be a hindrance even to your own prayers. And I have seen anyway, that's a story for another day. So I think just to bring the balance, submission is not a conditional command. You know, however, it becomes even the husband's responsibility to make sure that it's easier to submit by leading well, by loving well. Bringing it back also to the husband. The wife is asked to submit. You are asked to love her. And the type of love that is then in the context of that scripture is the way Christ loves the church. Exactly. How he actually gave himself as a sacrifice. He shed his blood as a sacrifice. Even before you and I believed in him. He still went on to, to sacrifice himself for us. And the Bible then tells us to continually wash her with the water of the
that's
word.
So powerful. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think just that simple washing comes from a place of love.
Yes.
It comes from a place of encounter with God, because you can't wash her when you yourself don't really know the word, and you don't have much of a standing with God. So because you wash to a certain, like, let's put it like this: if you want to wash something, you want to make it pure, you want to make it clean, isn't it? And you make it clean and pure according to your revelation of clean and pure. You know what I'm saying? To some, you can give them something off-white and they'll say, yeah, I think it's clean. But to some, they'll be like, put it back into the dishwasher and let's wash it. You know what I'm saying? So if you also have a revelation of the holiness of God and a revelation of the nature of God, you are able now to bring your wife into that. So I think, I guess this brings a balance to, that statement.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. That's such a beautiful addition. And truly, like you said, like, submission it's not a choice. It's not an if. It's not a but. You, as a woman, you have to submit to your husband. You have to. And I thought submitting was an easy thing, and I thought I had to figure it out. But shortly into our marriage, I realized that actually, there's certain areas you haven't submitted. I had to come to a point where truly, even if somebody asked me to do something, I ask my husband first. If there's certain things I want to do or even want to get, a lot of the times I'm like, oh babe, what do you think? I weigh in on what he thinks as well, because ultimately I'm submitted to him, which actually makes life easier for you as a wife, because I can tell you that if you are, considering a thing and your husband says no, that's already helping you, that no is a no. If your husband says no, it's a no, because ultimately he becomes your covering. And for me, it's little things like that I realized that no, actually the Holy Spirit is actually giving me extra help through the assistance of my husband, and I find joy in actually consulting him. Little things, sometimes he'll be at work and I'm like, oh babe, someone wants to come over, what do you think? Because ultimately he's the head, and he's become my covering. So submission can actually be a very beautiful thing, ladies. You just need to open up to it and really give yourself to the fullness of what God has called us to be as helpmates as well.
Okay.
So maybe lastly, we'll just give in terms of we've touched on it a little bit, but maybe nuggets of advice for people out there who want to get married one day. Now that we're 7 months in, again, we do not know everything. We're still being refined. God is still working on us every single day. But I'm sure that there are things, my love, that through the 7 months, there are things that you know now that you didn't know before getting into marriage. So what are those things that you would tell somebody else out there who is preparing for marriage or intends to be, married? I think you already highlighted in terms of the emotional aspect, actually being ready, financial aspect, Yeah,
don't just learn not to be led by feelings. I think the aspect of faith is very much applicable in marriage. Because marriage is an institution that's meant to build you, to build your partner, to build your family, your household, and ultimately to build the community and the kingdom of God.
That's right.
Right. So it's a building thing. So you yourself must be able to build yourself into being a good husband, a good wife, a good son, a good daughter, a good insert profession here. You must be proactive about building yourself, and it takes faith to do that, because sometimes you don't see the result, but you still have to put in the work. And the results will come eventually. You know what I'm saying? So learn also to find fulfillment in the journey and not in the result alone, because sometimes you can plant a seed and water it for a long time.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily see the fruit, and then all of a sudden it looks like it happened overnight. You know what I'm saying? So I think just the aspect of patience, not just patience with each other, but patience with yourself, patience with the timing of God, patience in building, because building takes time. No matter what it is you're building, if you're building a house, it will take time. If you're building a career, it will take time. We all start from somewhere, you know, so you need to build from there upward. You know, even when it comes to building your financial muscle, sometimes you might not have all the capital that you need. Humble yourself and start from the little things. Like I was talking about earlier on the 50-cent profits. That's what you have, and that's where your capacity is at that particular time. So build from there to where you want to go to. Maybe one day I'll share a story of how I actually grew my financial muscle through this simple principle of understanding that perhaps sometimes your capital might not come as a lump sum, but it will come in the form of a seed, which you yourself must be able to cultivate, plant, water, and grow until it becomes, you know, something substantial to get into the stuff that you want to get into. You know what I'm saying? So you must have that patience. You must be patient. Like I said, not only with your partner, but with yourself.
With yourself,
and your relationship with God. Sometimes it'll entail you praying long hours so that you see certain things happening, so that you see certain changes happening. Because you want to build for generations to come. You don't want to build just for today, for tomorrow. So it entails patience, so that you can at least leave behind a substantial inheritance for your children and your children's children. You know, so I think, don't let feelings lead. Always engage faith in every decision that you make, in the way you move forward. Take steps of faith. I know there's some young people right now who are like, hey, I don't have the money to start doing this or to start doing that, but you have something that you can do. Do it. Be humble. You know, sometimes it might need you to, you know, I'm not saying compromise, but I'm saying it might need you to just go a bit lower than your own standard. And I don't mean this in a moral sense, but I mean this in the way we see ourselves. Sometimes we think we feel we are entitled to certain luxuries, but in actual fact, you are not entitled. Like even the basic luxury of eating. The Bible says that he who does not work shouldn't eat. So that means if eating, which is a daily need, a daily necessity, actually has a, what's that word? It has a condition, that already means you yourself should be willing to build from the bottom to go up, so that you're able to eat what you want to eat. For now. Anyway, let me not get too much into that, but I hope you guys get the point. So my wife.
Yeah, that's so solid. Yeah, so from my end, I would say that work on your relationship with God. My husband has really expounded on that. It's because it's the one that fully encompasses everything else. Like you touched on, the emotions, the finances, and everything. That's actually rooted in God. Because the thing is, when you have a solid relationship with God, you begin to, you know, bear the fruits of the Spirit. So all of those things we're talking about, love, joy, etc., that those character, you know, attributes will come from a relationship with God. You can't bear that kind of fruit if you're not connected to God, who is the one who enables us to walk in that manner. Even in terms of, you know, your finances, making sure that you're financially secure, that's in God as well. That's rooted in God. I want to highlight this one because my husband did emphasize on the aspect of being financially secure, but then it's also the same reason why some people would then hesitate to take the step into a marriage God actually wants them to walk into. But now that takes your relationship with God to be able to discern whether it's the right time for you as well. So build your relationship with God. Allow yourself to figure out where you're trying to go, because that way you'll be able to discern whether you are with the right person. So really make sure once you have a solid relationship with God, you know where God is taking you, then that way you can also know the right person for you to journey on this journey of marriage with. And then also submit yourself to actually learning. As you make the decision and as God reveals to you that maybe the union of marriage is for you, you need to be willing to work on yourself. You really need to be willing to work on yourself. We have a tendency of having an expectation of our future spouse, especially with women. I want a husband like this, like that, but what kind of a woman are you? And the same vice versa. Be willing to work on yourself, because it makes the work easier when you then come together in a marriage. You're not now struggling with lust. You're not struggling with different things. Just if you work on yourself, it makes life so much easier. And then submit yourself to learning from other people. One of the greatest things that I have in my marriage working for me today is the wisdom I learned from other people. It's going a long way, because now I stepped into this thing. You step into it almost at an advantage, because now you have this well of wisdom from people who've done it for years. Be willing to go into those spaces where you can learn. And a lot of us in our churches, we have this, but we don't avail ourselves to actually being in the spaces where we can learn. Trust me, you will save yourself years of trying to figure it out. Imagine if you both come into the marriage and you are you have a well of wisdom to actually walk this thing out. It'll make life easier. So learn, put yourself in the spaces. Be with other women who've done it before, who are doing it and are doing it well. If you're a gent, learn from other men who are doing marriage well, who are, who are treating their wives well. Ladies, the same way, learn from women who are submitting to their husbands well. It's such a cheat code, really, in life, learning from people who've gone before you. And then also, like my husband said, surround yourself with a community of like-minded people, people who also have the same values. You need that before you get into marriage, because for me, having the kind of women I had, sisters around me who were prayerful, everything that we look back on now and be like, oh wow, it was beautiful. Prayer, So I have a community of like-minded people, and my husband can testify that there were moments where it felt like, ooh, the ball's about to drop, and then we had people stand with us, friends stand with us, So surround yourself with a like-minded community, because then they can help you move towards what you're trying to get into. And then once you are even in marriage, continue to surround yourself with godly community. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I think
we can go on a date now.
We can go on a date. So you guys will excuse you guys for now.
We love y'all and all. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. Thank you for your support.
Oh yeah.
Your comments and stuff, they are really refreshing to us. So yes, let's keep building up the community.
Yes.
Feel free also to follow us on other social media platforms, and our WhatsApp channel, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, because sometimes our content on these channels are different. So in case you're interested in that, please do make sure to follow us. We'll make sure to leave the links in the description below. Otherwise, God bless you.
Yes. Oh, one more thing. Don't skip marriage counseling.
Don't.
Please go for marriage counseling. Anyway, love you guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.